am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as the great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languid in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you? We teach you to love the hair that God gave you.
This is why the ones before us was fighting. You got a black president and they still don't buy it. They not about to change, they ain't trying. They trying to take us back to the 1960s riots. If I'm a king, I'ma stand up like a king. No matter what, I'ma fight for what I believe. Always been the microphone fiend. Now I'm rolling over mics like a microphone king. Leader of man, no age limit to this. When I speak, they say that boy using his wisdom again. Racist ones still talking, call them evil again. But what them fools don't know, my reign just began. Hip-hop Democrat, the people voted me in. I'm serving my turn real. Impeachment, there's no need to rule in hip-hop. I'm the commander-in-chief, State of the Union address. Everybody listen in, broadcasting on the screen. Everybody tune in, the next break in the game. My flow just began.
In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital as a set. The architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. They were signing a promissory note which every American was to fall out. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vault of opportunity of this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice.
The only way the problem can be solved, first, the white man and the black man have to be able to sit down at the same table. The white man has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of that Negro. And the so-called Negro has to feel free to speak his mind without hurting the feelings of the white man. Then they can bring the issues that are under the rug out on top of the table and take an intelligent approach to get the problem solved. That's the only way. but they'll ever do it. We need an action program while we are Muslims, or while we are Christians, or while we are whatever we are. We still need an action program that will eliminate these evils that are in our community.
Do you consider yourself militant?
I consider myself now.
Time is changing, the future is now breaking. They steady planning and scheming. Man, they mind is racing. They don't want them in office. Man, they hoping to pray in the reason for everything. You haters just gotta face it. It's 2012 and they still full of that hatred. I'm moving over the nation. They leaving my people hanging and make them sick to their stomach from thinking our black faces. The lynching era is over. We stopped our people from hanging all over the world. My flow is within embracing. It's reaching across the globe. You love the songs that I'm making, and every time you on top, it's when they starting to hating. I really just love the rap and driven by being famous. This ain't happening today. You really gotta be patient. You finish paying your dues. You could say you finally made it. Is he one of the best? That's what they always debating. I just let the flow talk. You would never hear me say it. They say the sky is the limit, but heaven is where I'm aiming. While I'm still on this earth, my flow will remain banging.
There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our body is heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the city. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and the Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. Because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness. If you're interested in freedom, you need some judo, you need some karate, you need all the things that will help you fight for freedom. We invested 310 years of slave labor. 310 years, every day of which your and my mother and father worked for nothing. Not 8 hours a day. There was no union in that day. They worked from sun up until sundown. From can't see in the morning until can't see at night. They never had a day off. And on Sunday, they were allowed to sit down and sing about when they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. When they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. They'd go up in the sky, and every day would be Sunday. That's a shame. And it is that 310 years of slave labor that went in, that was my and your contribution into this particular economy and political system. They can give us the back pay. Let's join in. If this is what the Negro wants, let's join in. Let's show him how to struggle. Let's show him how to fight. Let's show him how to bring about a real revolution. Let's make him stop jiving. You don't need a debate. You don't need a filibuster. You need some action.